They say silence is peace, but they never lived in mine. At first, it was quiet, a soft kind of nothing, like standing in a field where the wind forgot how to move. Then came the fading. Voices I once trusted vanished. Names I used to whisper in prayer stopped whispering mine. Doors didn't slam. They just stopped opening. I didn't fall. I sank, slowly, quietly, like the world was watching me drown, with folded arms and a turned back. No voice, no hand, no one. They didn't stab me. They didn't scream. They just disappeared. And in that disappearing, I learned something. Silence isn't peace. It's punishment. It echoes louder than screams. It scratches louder than nails. It swallows you whole, without mercy. And then it waits for you to beg. I begged, not with words, but with glances, with clenched fists and broken smiles, with the kind of eyes that scream louder than lungs ever could. But no one listened. No voice, no hand, no one. I became the background noise in their lives, a ghost they chose to forget. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air change? Felt the chill that says, you don't belong here? Not because they told you, but because they didn't. That's the worst kind of rejection. Not the loud kind, not the kind you can fight, but the quiet kind, the kind that pretends you were never even real. I lost count of the days, of the chances I gave, of the lies I swallowed, just to stay close. But you can only be invisible for so long before you vanish, even to yourself. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize what looked back. A face full of cracks, eyes dimmer than they used to be. A silence inside me so heavy, it made my bones creak. I asked myself, what did I do? What sin did I commit to deserve this exile? But silence doesn't answer. It only watches. It only waits. No voice, no hand, no one. And yet, even silence has a limit, because deep within that emptiness, beneath the rubble of everything I used to be, something stirred, a spark, a whisper, not from them, from me. Because when the world turned silent, my fire got louder. I screamed, but no one heard, not yet. But they will. Oh, they will. They thought silence would kill me. But silence doesn't kill fire. It feeds it. While they turned their backs, I turned inward. While they forgot me, I remembered everything. Every name, every laugh that cut deeper than a blade, every whisper behind closed doors, every glance that said, "You'll never be enough." They thought I would crumble, that I would fade into the same nothing they buried me in. But while they looked away, something ancient began to burn. Not a spark, a furnace, not rage, something colder and far more dangerous. I didn't shout, I didn't fight back, not yet. I just watched and waited, because I learned something in that silence, something they'll never understand. True transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It doesn't come from applause. It comes from silence, from suffering, from solitude so loud it drowns out your own heartbeat. They thought I disappeared, but I was becoming. I was learning the weight of silence. I was learning how to carry fire in my chest without letting it show. I was learning how to sharpen my soul in shadows. They left ashes. I became flame. And you know what happens when a flame learns patience? It becomes a wildfire. Quiet, controlled, deadly. I didn't need their validation. I didn't want their handouts, because the more they withheld, the more I became. Their silence was supposed to suffocate me, but I made it my oxygen. Their distance was supposed to weaken me, but it gave me space to evolve. They laughed while I built. They slept while I bled. They spoke while I studied. And now, they look confused, surprised, as if they don't recognize what I've become. But of course they don't, because they never saw the fire. They never saw the nights I shattered in silence and rebuilt from shards. They never saw the war I fought inside every single day. They only saw the surface. They only saw the ice. But beneath that stillness, I was a volcano, dormant, but never dead. And now I erupt. Not with chaos, not with noise, with purpose, with power, with a fire they never saw coming. So let them blink, let them wonder, while they played pretend kings. I forged myself into a god. And now they'll burn in the blaze they tried to bury. Doubt. That's where it always starts. Not with enemies, not with hate, but with a whisper inside your own mind. What if they're right? What if I'm not enough? What if this is all I'll ever be? I asked myself those questions more times than I can count. In the silence, in the dark, when no one was watching, and especially when no one cared. I questioned. I broke. I endured. Every voice in my head became a chain, tight, cold, unforgiving, wrapped around my throat, my wrists, my soul, pulling me backward every time I dared to crawl forward. You see, people think pain is loud, but real pain is quiet. It sits inside your bones. It settles in your stomach. It waits until you're too tired to resist. And then it drags you through the mud of your memories, through the broken mirrors of who you used to be, through every almost, every not yet, every you're still not enough. I questioned. I broke. I endured. I tried to scream, but the chains tightened. I tried to move, but the weight got heavier. I tried to breathe, and it felt like inhaling smoke. But there's something they don't understand about chains. They don't just bind. They leave marks, scars, and scars. Scars are proof that you survived the pulling, that you didn't snap. You stretched, you bled, but you didn't break. I looked at those scars once with shame. Now I see them as armor, each one forged in fire, each one earned in war. Because while I was chained by doubt, I was also being forged by flame. Every time I cried, the fire rose. Every time I failed, the fire grew. Every time I was told to stop, the fire answered, "Keep going." I questioned, I broke, I endured, and somewhere in that torment, the fire didn't just flicker, it didn't just burn, it consumed. The doubt turned to steam. The fear evaporated in heat. The chains melted, and when the chains fell, I didn't rise as who I was. I rose as who I was meant to be. Not the version they could control, not the shadow they tried to cast over me, but the flame they'll never smother. I carry those scars now with pride, because they remind me that I've walked through hell, and hell didn't win. So when you look at me, don't look for weakness. Don't search for mercy. All that's left is the fire. The one that forged me. The one that freed me. I questioned. I broke. I endured. And now I burn. There comes a moment, not a loud one, not a dramatic explosion, but a quiet snap. A final string that gives way. And when it does, everything changes. Mine was a look, just one look. That cold, dismissive stare. Like I was nothing, like I was disposable, like my worth was measured in silence. That look was the last time I begged, because before that moment, I waited. Waited for understanding, waited for kindness, waited for someone, anyone, to see me. I smiled when I should have screamed. I bowed when I should have broken bones. I held out my hand, and they walked past it, again and again and again. They saw me crawl, and they enjoyed it. They saw me starve for validation, and they fed me crumbs, and I took it. God help me, I took it, all of it, until that moment, until that stare, until that final insult wrapped in silence. That's when I stopped. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more begging. I didn't scream, I didn't plead. I stood up, and something in me shattered. Not the weak part, the part that still believed in mercy. You ever look into a mirror and see a stranger staring back? Eyes too hollow, face too tired, fists clenched so tight they tremble. That day, I didn't see a victim anymore. I saw a weapon. A cracked mirror can't reflect lies. It only shows fragments of truth. And what I saw wasn't broken. It was becoming. I walked away from the people I used to crawl to. Burned bridges I once prayed to cross. Torched every fake connection I once begged to keep. Let it all burn. If they wanted me desperate, they should have killed me when I still cared. Because now I take, now I command. Now I become what they were afraid I'd grow into. No more softness, no more asking, no more waiting for someone else to hand me what I've bled for. I don't need their mercy. I am the reckoning. Let them look at me now. Let them feel the weight of what they built. Brick by brick, lie by lie, betrayal by betrayal. They shaped this fury. They carved it with their silence. They fed it with every ounce of humiliation. And now I'm not the one on my knees. they are. So remember this, the day I stopped begging was the day I stopped bleeding, and the day I stopped bleeding was the day I became untouchable. Let them pray for forgiveness. Let them hope for mercy. But I won't beg. I won't bow. I won't break ever again. They never saw it. They saw the fall. They loved the fall. They counted the cracks, laughed at the silence, but they never saw the rise. Because the rise wasn't loud. It wasn't filmed. It wasn't clapped for or praised. It happened in the dark, behind closed doors, with bleeding knuckles, with tired eyes, and silence as my only witness. While they slept, while they mocked, I rose. I rose slowly, grimly, with grit in my teeth and fire in my lungs. Not because I wanted to prove them wrong, but because I refused to die where they left me. They thought the silence would crush me. They thought the isolation would rot me from within. But solitude became my sanctuary, my forge, my battlefield. While they laughed, I bled in silence. I built in shadows. I studied pain like scripture. While they partied, I starved. I sharpened. I transformed. I didn't scream. I didn't announce my resurrection. Why would I? Let them sleep. Let them drift in comfort while I carved my edge. While they slept, while they mocked, I rose, piece by piece, stone by stone, scar by scar. No spotlight, no savior, just fire, just will. I became the storm they never forecasted, the disaster they never saw coming, the phoenix that burned itself in silence, only to rise with fire dripping from its wings. They thought I was done. They thought I was buried. But they forgot one thing. I am not made of flesh and hope. I am made of everything they tried to destroy, and everything they failed to kill. Do you know what it means to rebuild without applause? To rise with no hand to hold? To become something monstrous because the world left you no other choice? It means your strength is real, untouched, unfiltered, unstoppable. They didn't see me when I woke up before dawn to silence that felt like death. They didn't see me choke on my own doubt and keep moving. They didn't see me crack, then patch myself together. Not prettier, but sharper. While they slept, while they mocked, I rose. And now they hear the rumble. Now they feel the heat. Now they start to whisper. What happened to him? When did he become like this? But the truth, they were never meant to see, because the rise wasn't theirs to witness. It was mine. It belonged to the version of me who stayed awake when the world turned cold, to the part of me that never stopped crawling, even when his legs gave out, to the silence that gave birth to a fire they can no longer ignore. While they slept, while they mocked, I rose, and now I stand, not just as a man, but as the fire that outlived the ashes, as the echo that broke the silence, as the storm that rewrote the sky. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not running. I'm not flinching. I'm not lowering my eyes for anyone. You wanted a monster. You got one. Because I've been hunted. I've been cornered. I've been spit on, talked down to, pushed aside. But now I'm the one who hunts. Let them come. Let them whisper my name like a curse. Let them load their lies and sharpen their envy. Let them, because I'm not afraid of the noise anymore. I am the noise. I'm the chaos they tried to bury. I am the fire they lit without thinking. And now they'll choke on the smoke. Let them come. Let them speak. Let them throw every stone they've saved for me. Let them bring their armies, their smiles, their knives hidden in flattery. I want them to, because I'm not just ready. I hunger for it. Let them come. Let them try to break me again. Let them try to erase me with silence. Let them try to drown me in doubt. They'll fail, because this time I don't bend. This time I don't crawl. This time I don't beg. This time I burn, and everything they love will burn with me. Let them cry foul. Let them pretend they were innocent. Let them paint me as villain, demon, devil. I'll wear it all. I'll smile while they scream, because I'm done explaining myself to people who only listen when I'm silent. Let them come. Let them face what they created. Let them meet the version of me born in the fire they set. This isn't revenge. This is balance. Every pain will be returned. Every scar will be repaid. Every betrayal will taste like ash in their mouth. Let them come. Let them speak. Let them beg. Let them burn. Because this time, the hunted has fangs. This time, the weak one has war in his blood. This time, the broken one has nothing left to lose. And when you've got nothing left to lose, you become unstoppable. Let them come. Let them all come. I'll be waiting, with fire in my chest, with fury in my grip, with the silence they gave me, turned into thunder. Let them come. Let them burn. I don't need rage anymore. I don't need the screams, the chaos, the hunger for revenge. That was the old me. That was the man who bled to be seen. The man who mistook pain for purpose, who mistook noise for power. But not now. Now I know what I am. I am not the victim, not the outcast, not the broken soul crawling in shadows. I am the flame that walked through every storm and refused to go out. I was silence once. Now I roar, not with fury, but with certainty. The kind of power that doesn't beg to be recognized. It just is. Because when the world tried to extinguish me, they forgot one thing. You can't kill what burns on its own. They tried to smother me with silence, but I made it my fuel. They tried to drown me in doubt, but I taught myself how to breathe fire. And now I don't chase. I don't ask. I don't wait. I simply become, unapologetically, unforgivably, unstoppably. This isn't rage anymore. This is revelation. This is what happens when pain meets purpose, when scars become symbols, when silence gives birth to a war cry. I don't need to prove anything, because power doesn't prove. Power simply exists, and I do, right here, right now. Not as who I was, but as what I forged myself into. I'm the fire now, the torch that lights war, the heat that bends steel, the glow that blinds cowards. I used to wonder what it would feel like to finally become something more, to finally stop shrinking for the sake of comfort, to finally own the fury inside me. Now I don't wonder. Now I know. It feels like standing still and knowing the world will move to make room for you. It feels like silence that makes them nervous. It feels like power, calm, unshaken, absolute. I am no longer fighting to be heard. I am the sound. I don't echo anymore. I ignite. So let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them wonder how I got here. I didn't climb their ladder. I burned it. I didn't follow their path. I made my own. Through fire, through ash, through everything they said would destroy me. I didn't just survive. I transcended. And now I am the fire. And fire answers to no one. Funny, isn't it? The world that once screamed over me now falls quiet. The same mouths that mocked me now sealed shut. The same eyes that rolled now refuse to meet mine. Now they fall quiet, not because they don't care, but because they do. Because now they fear what they created. Once I begged to be heard. Once I screamed into a void that gave nothing back. Once I stood in rooms filled with people and still felt invisible. But now the silence isn't mine to suffer. It's theirs. Now they hide in the same silence they once threw me into. The same silence they used to drown me, to erase me, to unmake me. Now they fall quiet, and I can feel it. That shift, that tightness in their throat, the weight in the room when I walk in, the unspoken terror behind their stillness. They don't cheer, they don't challenge, they just disappear. Because they know, they remember. They remember the words they said behind my back. They remember the times they let me bleed and turned the other way. They remember how loud they were when I was weak, and how absent they were when I needed strength. Now they fall quiet, and I drink it in, like cold water after a lifetime of dust, like victory wrapped in frost, like justice with fire at its core. They thought I'd crave their approval, that one day I'd crawl back, begging for their attention, pleading for their praise. But I never needed their praise. I needed their silence. And now I have it. Now I stand in the same halls that once echoed with my name in mockery. And I don't hear a word, just silence. Heavy, dense, beautiful. Because silence now is mine. It bends to me. It surrounds me like armor. It speaks louder than their noise ever could. Now they fall quiet, not because they respect me, not because they've changed, but because they fear me, because I carry every moment they tried to break me, and I wear it like a crown forged in flame. Their silence is no longer my prison, it's their sentence. Now they look away not because I'm small, but because they feel small. Now they choke on the weight of everything they ignored, everything they denied, everything they thought would stay buried. But I rose, and I brought the silence with me, not as a wound, but as a weapon. Let them whisper in corners. Let them wonder if I hear them. Let them cower behind closed lips. Now they fall quiet, and I let them, because there's nothing more satisfying than watching those who silenced you drown in the silence you no longer fear. Let them stay quiet. Let them live with it, because I've lived with it too long, and I've turned it into something cold, something sharp, something final. Now they fall quiet, and I rise. Let them gather now. Let them whisper my name like it's a warning. Let them clutch their pearls and hide behind their guilt. Let them pretend they didn't know what they were doing. But I remember. I remember every eye that looked through me. Every voice that twisted my name into something lesser. Every hand that let go when I was hanging by a thread. I remember, and I rise, not as a man searching for justice, not as a soul begging for peace, but as fire, pure, untamed, undeniable. Let them remember the silence they buried me in. Let them remember the chains they wrapped around my dreams. Let them remember the graves they dug with their words. Because now I am the sound that breaks their silence, the scream that echoes through their comfort, the consequence they prayed would never return. I speak to them all now, to the liars, to the cowards, to the quiet ones who watched and did nothing, to the false friends who wore masks of concern, to the lovers who left mid-storm, to the family that forgot I existed. Look at me now. You thought I was done. You thought I'd fade quietly into regret. You thought the fire inside me would burn out with time. But it didn't. It grew. It evolved. It became something far more dangerous than rage. It became purpose. And now it burns for eternity. Because my fire isn't just for me anymore. It's for every soul that's ever been silenced. Every heart that's been shattered behind closed doors. Every voice that died in its throat because the world taught it to stay quiet. I burn for them. I rise for them. I speak for them. Let them remember what happens when you try to bury the wrong one. Let them remember what it looks like when silence finds its voice. Let them remember what it feels like to be watched by the storm they created. They thought they were breaking me, but they were writing my name in the language of survival, in scars, in fire, in legacy. I don't need statues. I don't want praise. I want memory. I want the sound of my fire to haunt their sleep, to linger in their walls, to follow them like smoke that won't wash off. I want them to flinch when they hear my name, to pause when they speak of me, to feel the burn in their throat when they recall what I became. Because I was the silence. I became the scream. And now, I will be the fire that never dies. This voice, it doesn't end here. These words, they are embers carved into the wind. This legacy, it's wildfire. And long after I'm gone, long after my name fades from headlines and lips, my fire will still speak. It will whisper through ashes. It will echo in broken halls. It will shine from the cracks in every wall they tried to build around me. I am not asking to be remembered. I am ensuring it. Let them remember. Let them burn. Let them fall. Because I don't want applause. I want impact. I want their silence to scream with my absence. I want their world to tremble at the mere thought that I walked through fire and became it. So listen closely, because this is the sound they tried to erase, the voice they tried to kill, the flame they thought would die. But I'm still here, louder, fiercer, forever. And my fire will be the last sound they hear. Let them remember, let them burn, let them fall.